That when Trump says jump, the Republicans in the House say, how high?
Thank you for blowing the whistle on that. I yield back.
Mr. Chairman, I have a sincere point of inquiry. Rule 11, Clause 2.
The gentleman is not recognized.
I have a question about the rules.
Mr. Lynch for 5 minutes.
It's a point of order, a question about the rules.
Point of order. State your point of order.
The point of order is why does Rule 11, Clause 2, subsection E1A not apply to this subcommittee? I can read for you. Each committee shall keep a complete record of all committee action, which shall include, in the case of a meeting or hearing transcript, a substantially verbatim account of remarks actually made during the proceedings, subject only to some technical things. Such records shall be the property of the House, and each member, delegate, and the resident commissioner shall have access thereto. Why does that not apply? Where is the whistleblower exception in the rules of Congress that says that does not apply?
It's the prerogative of the committee to decide.
No,
it's
the rules of the House.
We have the whistleblower testimony. The whistleblower does not wish that to be made available to the Democrats at this time.
The whistleblower doesn't make committee rules, sir.
Mr. Lynch is recognized for 5 minutes of questioning.
Mr. Chairman, is the ruling of the chair always unquestioned, or do we have a vote on how some of these issues are decided?
If you state a proper point of order, and there's some kind
I just did state a point of order.
The gentleman from Massachusetts is recognized for 5 minutes of question.
Will you give us a copy of that testimony that was transcribed of your discussions with him?
That'll be up to Mr. Allen.
But you are in possession of them, aren't you?
Sure are.
So why would you not give them to us?
Mr. Allen's a whistleblower, and he didn't want that to happen.
He didn't want, but he's comfortable here in open discussion with us today?
Sure is. You can ask him questions if you want.
You don't share your information with the minority?
Nope.
No, so you're not sharing information that you've obtained.
I find it incredible that evidence that one side has garnered is not going to be shared with the other side. That is not how committees work.
It's my understanding that the minority in this committee under the rules is entitled to the same testimony, information, documents that the majority is entitled to. So, I mean, I'm not aware that you're able to withhold information from the minority that we would need to use to prepare for a...
When it comes to whistleblowers, you're not. And I would just remind the committee, remind everyone, look, when it comes to whistleblowers, you are not.
That's not right.
On this hearing, y'all have employment grievances. That doesn't make you whistleblowers. And maybe those grievances are legitimate, or maybe some aspects of it are legitimate, and all of you have careers, and I'm sorry for the situation in which you find yourselves, but this is not a forum for individual members of any agency, federal agency, unless there's a broad pattern of discrimination or violation of law, to air their grievances, their employment grievances. And I must say, listening to this hearing, I don't walk away convinced of anything other than we're listening to sad tales of certain individuals about their situation. And the enumeration of grievances does not constitute whistleblower status. And I'm not quite sure why we had this hearing. I certainly don't think it proves some consistent pattern of wrongdoing by the Federal Bureau of Investigation. And I've heard some things here that run counter to the history of the FBI. The gentlelady, I think, from Florida said, like a new idea that they got in the intelligence business, that would have come as news to J. Edgar Hoover, who loved intelligence and, in fact, preferred it over some forms of law enforcement. Had a whole network in South America he had to dismantle when President Truman told him he had to get out of that business. So thank you for being here. But I must tell you, I leave more skeptical and with more questions about the nature of this hearing than I began.